My name is Jake Miller. At the time this story began, I was 26 years old. I worked as a manager at one of the Walmart stores. The job wasn't easy, but it was stable, and after 3 years, I had gotten used to the rhythm. Reports, meetings, inventories, corporate training. There was little room for surprises in that world. Everything ran like clockwork, and that suited me just fine. Back then, I lived in a small town in Illinois. It was a cozy place. Quiet streets, neat houses, familiar faces at the supermarkets. People here knew each other by name, and gossip spread faster than the news in the papers. In that town, I felt at peace. At that time, I had been dating a girl named Emily Carter for almost 6 months. Emily worked in our marketing department. Young, beautiful, full of energy and ambition. She was 24, just beginning to build her career. From the very first day we met, she captivated me with her sincerity and infectious laughter. We met by accident at a corporate training session when, due to a shortage of seats, we ended up at the same table. Gradually, our meetings became regular. Coffee before work, lunches at a local diner, walks along the waterfront on weekends. Everything was going steadily. I felt that with Emily, I could build something real. She seemed like the kind of person you could dream about a home with, cozy evenings and road trips through the southern states in an old pickup truck. We even started discussing moving in together. It felt like life was finally picking up speed in the right direction. And that's when a new general manager, Ryan Peterson, was assigned to our store. He was 31 years old, tall, confident, with a short haircut and well-groomed appearance. Ryan had just gotten married. Photos from his wedding adorned his social media pages. Him and his wife, Leslie, shining and happy against the backdrop of Miami's azure coast. From his very first day at work, Ryan showed himself to be someone who knew his worth. He was the kind of person who could win over any audience with just a few words. He could joke but always stayed within the bounds of propriety, never losing his aura of authority. His charisma was undeniable, and it had a particularly strong effect on women. I quickly realized that Ryan was an incorrigible womanizer. He never missed an opportunity to flirt with female employees, even though the ring on his finger clearly said otherwise. His charm was a weapon he wielded without the slightest pang of conscience. The women around him seemed to lose their heads. Lingering glances, awkward giggles, clumsy attempts to stay near him just a little longer. And Emily, much to my regret, fell under his spell too. At first it all looked innocent. Emily started mentioning Ryan more often in conversations, citing his ideas and methods as examples. Then came the late nights at work, supposedly meetings, preparation for inspections, new projects. Sometimes she wouldn't respond to my messages in the evenings, blaming exhaustion. I tried to push away my suspicions. Probably anyone who's faced betrayal at first tries to pretend nothing is happening. I wanted to believe it was just a busy period, that I was overthinking, but the facts were stubborn. Soon, word got around that Ryan had sold Emily his Mercedes-Benz C-Class for a price that was half its market value. Everyone was talking about it. Officially, it looked like a regular sale between colleagues. Unofficially, everyone understood. Such gifts aren't given for no reason. Moreover, almost immediately after that, Emily began rising through the ranks. First promotion, then another. It all happened at an alarming speed, considering her lack of real experience. Tasks that used to be handled by entire teams were suddenly given to her alone, and no one seemed to be checking the results. The staff whispered, but no one said anything aloud. No one wanted to cross Ryan, and I tried to hold on. Maybe because I still hoped for the best. The breaking point came during one of my night shifts. I was working in the store until midnight, handling a shipment. It was around 11 when Emily called me, saying she was nearby and asked me to let her in. A few minutes later, a familiar black Mercedes pulled up. Ryan was behind the wheel. He personally drove her to the store. It was a gross violation of all safety protocols. The store was closed to unauthorized employees at night. Letting anyone in without permission was strictly forbidden. I realized it was time to act. The next day, I filed an official report and sent it to the senior regional manager. An investigation followed. Footage from the security cameras was reviewed. Official memos were compiled. The facts were clear. Ryan had violated protocol by letting Emily into the store without any legitimate reason. The result was his dismissal. Ryan left our store a week later. No fanfare, no farewell speeches. He simply disappeared. Along with him went his privileges and his authority. Emily, deprived of her protector, suddenly lost all her star opportunities. A month later, she left the company on her own. We broke up. I understood that there was nothing real left between us. But the story didn't end there. When I realized how much pain and betrayal those two had caused me, a bitter determination to set things right flared up inside me. I couldn't just let it go. I spent several hours studying Ryan's social media profiles and found his home address. He lived in the suburbs, a big house, a well-kept lawn, a dog, and most importantly, his wife Leslie, the same one he had recently vowed loyalty to, lived there too. I knew that if I just showed up at their house, they probably wouldn't let me in. So I asked my friend Dan Walker to help. Dan agreed without hesitation. He went over there while Ryan was at work and handed Leslie a packet. Printed screenshots of messages, photos of Emily and Ryan together, records of the night shifts. The result didn't take long. A couple of weeks later, Leslie filed for divorce. Ryan lost not only his job, but also his family. Some might say it was cruel, but I don't regret it. Not for a second. You don't get to destroy other people's lives and act like nothing happened. That story changed me. I became older, colder. I learned to see through people and never again allowed myself to be blind. Life went on. I changed jobs, made new friends, and a year later I met a girl who truly deserved trust. But deep inside, I will always remember how a small mistake, the choice of temptation, ruined several lives at once, and how important it is to protect yourself, even if it means burning bridges.